Tiffany Fontenot here. What is reverse speech? God made our brain in two hemispheres, and He made our consciousness in two different directions. The forward direction is the free will direction where we can lie or tell the truth. But in reverse, that is an involuntary system, and we cannot lie from that side of our consciousness. Fair use. Definitely in the public's interest to know what's coming out in the reverse speech here.
What's your favorite meal? Like, what's your favorite, what would your last meal be?
Oh, brother, probably a fully loaded deep dish pizza.
Headlines, how are you?
Headlines, how are you? Headlines, how are you?
So let's go over cyber as a real debate about Boeing, the alleged suicide of the whistleblower. Now, that's a very strange one. I want to discuss that because that does not make sense. He was giving sworn depositions that day, but just please remember he's done 4,000 interviews. It just doesn't make sense that Boeing would go and kill him, which is completely on the cards. It's completely on the cards. Like, that, it's done. That stuff is done. But it just doesn't make sense. They're already in the poo. He's already given 5,000 interviews. It doesn't make sense. Who's benefiting from this? And we're going to log in Boeing like Elon Musk. Everything you see today, and I mean everything, from Ukraine to all the major rearrangement to Macron coming out talking smack to Putin all of a sudden, this is all the reordering after the multipolar world order. This is all about China and shifting everything to China. Look at Boeing, and now China has their 737 competitor. But I mean, it's all American parts. And you just think to yourself, it doesn't make sense. You keep making out China as the sworn enemy of life itself, but you keep funding them, and you keep sending their technology, and you keep sending them Boeing engine parts, and you keep sending them chips, and you keep doing it. This is gaslighting, and we have to go into that to understand that they're doing a deal. The fight is real. They're doing a deal. They always do deals, and they F the rest of us. 40,000 Arabs dead, brown-skinned Arabs, another 40,000 to go before they're finished on this one. We need to tie it all together, so let us attend.
And cyber is a real domain of power. And cyber is a real domain of power.
Let's now move on to Boeing, the Boeing uninterruptible autopilot, Flight Captain Dan Hanley, and our whistleblower, and ask ourselves, indeed, cyber is the real domain of power. Isn't that right, baby?
And cyber is a real domain of power.
Okay, this was a post I did with Flight Captain Dan Hanley. You remember Dan?
So please, I'm going to hand it over to Captain Dan Hanley. Dan, it's great speaking with you. Please take off. Tell us who you are again in detail.
Okay. Well, I'm a U.S. citizen married to a Pakistani. I'm coming to you from Islamabad, Pakistan, where I've lived for 10 years. People have accused me of hiding out here, which I'm not. I'm happily married. I'm happily married and very happy with my wife and her family over here. She's a news anchor with PTV World, which is the largest TV station in Pakistan, but it's a state-run TV channel, and I've been trying to get on there for an interview without success. But anyhow, people don't know about me, so I'll give you a little bit of background information on me. I commenced flying over 50 years ago in 1968. First as a civilian pilot flying a small Cessna aircraft such as the one we'll see the alleged Muslim hijackers flew to train to fly the Boeing 767. I got my private license, my commercial, my instrument, and my multi-engine rating by 1970. Then I went on to receive an applied math degree at Southern Illinois University. And when I got out, the Vietnam War was still raging, and rather than get drafted, and I'd spent a lot of money, I worked my way through school, I decided I was going to go into naval aviation. So I got into flying the P-3 Orion aircraft, and for people that don't know what kind of aircraft that is, it's a 4-engine turboprop, and during the 70s, we tracked Soviet submarines during the Cold War, and over a cumulative period of 10 years, I did some reserve time flying the airplane. That's what I flew in the Navy, but in 1978, I was hired by United Airlines as a pilot, and over the next 25 years, I flew about 7 different aircraft. I could get into that a little bit later, maybe. But in 2002, 2003, I began reporting to the company holes in the aviation safety and security system, among other issues. At that time, I didn't believe these poorly trained pilots could have flown the aircraft, but I wasn't reporting that at the time. Long story short, I was forced into an illegal and wrongful early retirement 11 years prior to my mandatory retirement age of 65 in December 2003. So over a career span of 35 years, I flew 15 different type of aircraft, accumulating over 20,000 flight hours. Now, I'll start off with my statement, but we've got a lot of people coming in behind me that'll make a similar statement that I'm about to make now, and that has to do with I'm talking about other highly qualified and experienced airline, military, and civilian pilots. But I'll tell you right now, with all my flight experience, I can unequivocally state that I could not possibly have flown the 9/11 flight profile, and in particular the Pentagon profile, which we'll discuss a little bit later, at the speeds and altitudes and flying the spectacular aerial maneuvers performed by the alleged hijackers. Furthermore, I don't believe that these poorly trained and highly inexperienced hijackers could have possibly been in control of the aircraft that day, as they had never flown the very complex and highly sophisticated 757 and 767 aircraft. Well, it's my assertion right now, along with other people that are in our organization that I'll talk about in a few minutes, there's over 290,000 pilots in the world, and we believe that they will agree with the assertion I just made. Regarding the organization that I'm the director of, and also the international public spokesperson of sorts for, we got a website, and it's at 911pilots.org, and I'll repeat that throughout because we want not just pilots to come to our website, but the general public as well, to educate them on the information there that is essentially contained within 4 or 5 pages.
Chinese official wants 9/11 Aveska. Now, Dan was actually invited up to by this guy, Ling Zhao. He's a China government official, and that's Dan's new friend from the Chinese government. He's a Chinese official, officially, and he invited, you remember Dan, I got a huge amount of respect for Flight Captain Dan Hanley. I said, Dan, you got to talk about Israel with this stuff. And Dan was sticking very, very to the basic stuff and doing the basic work of contacting FBI and the FAA and all that stuff, which is good. You need to do that work, knowing then they're going to mess you around. But he did all that stuff. Then Dan, when he worked out that nothing was happening and they were just using him for leverage, which is what they always do, Muslim governments, Chinese governments, they just tell you they love you and we'll get you over, and then they do nothing. And then they just wait for the call from Washington to get something out of Washington to not have you on. That's all they do with us dissidents. And then Dan went full retard. He got on X, Twitter, and just started unleashing on Jews, Israel, and everybody. And I was like, oh, Dan, don't, it's too much. And it would have been great to have Dan on board. And I have an immense amount of respect for Flight Captain Dan Hanley. He is an unsung hero. I had nothing really to lose. I didn't have wife. I didn't have kids. I didn't have a mortgage. I had things to lose, but I was kind of made for this anyway. But Dan is one of those, a real whistleblower who copped it pretty hard, and he's not as well known as he should be. He could have been more well known, but anyway, he's a stubborn Taurus, and you can't move him. But that's sorry, itching. It's dry. It's like 28 to 33 degrees Celsius here every day for like months. This is winter. This is bizarre. All the locals say it's bizarre. 80, 90-year-olds, this is not normal. I've never seen weather like this before. Anyway, that's Flight Captain Dan Hanley. Now, this is June 10th, 2021. They totally banned my stuff I was doing with Dan, and I couldn't work out why. And they actually banned me completely, said, we've decided to keep your account suspended. You won't be able to access or create any other YouTube accounts for more information. So they terminated my accounts completely by focusing on flight Captain Dan Hanley. Finally, we worked out what it was. It was Field McConnell. For those of you that don't know, let's get Field. This is Field McConnell. Highly distinguished United States Air Force. He's flown every aircraft under the sun. That's him with his F-4 Phantom. There's Field as an airline pilot. He, like Dan, went to town on 9/11, said it's all crap. I'm not going to let people forget 9/11 and 3,000 dead Americans. It started it all. That was the start of the end of the multipolar world order and the whole point of getting China into the World Trade Organization and all that stuff. So Field went a bit crazy though. Field joined the Q-Tars, waved a gun around, was charged with stalking a judge. It was very sad to see it go low. And apparently, because he was associated with the Q-Tards, they said I was glorifying a violent criminal organization. And when I finally cut that section out, that video was allowed to stand. It was absurd, but that's YouTube for you. But I'm telling you, they don't want to be reminded about 9/11. So this is Dan's 9/11 pilots.org remote controlled aircraft. It is got a lot of information in there. Again, the links are all below. Then we can, the flight control, Boeing's uninterruptible autopilot system, drones, remote hijacking. I want to get to that and show the links between that and Dov Zakheim, would you believe, the controller at the Pentagon, and their role in Israel is in everything else. So you bet they're in Boeing stuff. Diagrams, Boeing patents anti-terrorism auto land system for hijacked airliners, 1st of December 2006, this article, so they can seal it off and it will land automatically in an airport and you cannot stop it. Boeing wins patent on uninterruptible autopilot, again from 2006. Now, I don't want to tell you that Boeing is not totally corrupt and incompetent and seemingly lost their minds. They did. We're going to talk about bit data drop in a second and problems with flight control systems, and I believe it is Israel's involvement. I'm going to give you some gold. Boeing definitely went completely insane. It was like a family. I know people that work up there and said it was one of the best places to work. Everyone took a huge amount of pride in their work, and the Chicago mob moved over. They took it over and they just started doing, I've seen this happen. I saw it happen in medicine nursing. They tried to quasi-privatize the hospital system and they just went batshit crazy. These people are just divorced from reality. So I'm not going to tell you that they have done some very bad things. Sometimes you think, are they trying to destroy Boeing? Maybe they were. Maybe that's the plan. Just like, they tried to hand NASA to Elon Musk. See, Elon Musk would have been a big-time hero because he was going to make all that money from his associations with Kissinger and Associates and the multipolar world order and the shift into China. He would have still been there in China making a fortune with his cars and having contracts handed to him by for SpaceX. And he's going to lose those contracts. You've just seen his latest one blow up in another disaster. It's okay to have disasters. He just has endless disasters because there's multiple things wrong with him. He's a drug addict. He's got severe mental health issues. That's just well known. The guy's got major problems. He's going to end up in jail. That's where he's going to end up. But you can see that links in with they were probably going to hand certain aircraft types over to the Chinese. The Chinese got a version of the 737, but it's all American technology. And we're going to talk about that. So the Boeing whistleblowers' lawyers demand full investigation into mysterious deaths. So this guy has allegedly committed suicide. You know all about it. There's no need to go into it.
The focus for investigators, that terrifying nosedive off New Zealand that injured dozens. Passengers say the LATAM pilot claimed he suddenly lost control of the Boeing 787 when the flight data computers went dark. In 2016, the FAA issued an airworthiness directive for the 787, warning that if the flight control computers are not reset every 22 days, they could shut themselves down, which could result in flight controls that don't respond and
So these are the flight control computers.
temporary loss of controllability.
Investigators will look at whether the airplane was completely depowered at one point in the last 3 weeks.
Meanwhile, 2 months since that mid-air MAX 9 emergency, sources close to the investigation say Boeing has failed 33 of 89 FAA audits. The FAA confirming it identified non-compliance issues in Boeing's manufacturing process control, parts handling and storage, and product control.
If we see something that requires us to cease production or pull something down, we'll do that.
In an email, Boeing's chief of commercial planes today called on every employee to precisely follow every step of our manufacturing procedures. And
well, that would be, that's a good idea, everyone. What do you reckon? Do you think that might be a good idea to follow every step of the manufacturing procedures and processes? Are they trying to blow up Boeing? It reminds me of NASA. Do you remember in the 60s and the 50s? When they were just falling apart, blowing up everywhere. Meanwhile, the Soviets had successful launch after successful launch. I guarantee you that was sabotage, the same people who gave the atomic bomb to the Soviets. And I just get the smell of it right here with Boeing.
Processes. While in South Carolina, a coroner says former Boeing whistleblower John Barnett took his own life before his upcoming trial against the company. In 2019, Barnett told NBC News Boeing was putting profits ahead of safety.
From day one, it's just all been about schedule and hurry up and just get it done, push the planes out.
In a statement, Boeing says we are saddened by Mr. Barnett's passing and our thoughts are with his family and friends.
Okay, that's all we need to say on that. I just can't believe Boeing. He's already given 5,000 interviews. He's already on the record 5,000 times. I don't see what he's accomplished by killing him, even before a sworn deposition. I just don't get it, unless the only way I can think of it is they think a data analytics company, a black cube type company, said, look, there'll be an uproar, but we've got the statistical analysis. It'll all fade away. Don't worry about it. But there's something else going on here. There's something else. Remember, as Baby said, cyber is the real domain of power. Now, you remember what happened with Boeing? Do you remember when the WannaCry virus, and they said it had got into their shop full of computers?
This might explain a few problems we've all been having with our Microsoft Windows machines, mightn't it? It makes you wanna cry. So if you've been following my work, then you'll know that not only has now Microsoft got control of the software backdoor in Microsoft Windows, up to 90% of all computers, private, corporate and business, use Microsoft Windows. Active Directory, WMI, Windows Management Instrumentation, all that core code down to the kernel, trusted installer, the updates, they're all done in Israel. Now things are making sense.
Pleasure to see you. Hello? Hello. Hello. I think we're marking 25 years of cooperation between Microsoft and the State of Israel. We should now chart the next 25 years. Israel is a center of great technological innovation. Microsoft is a great technological company. It's a marriage made in heaven, but recognized here on earth.
Thank you so much, Prime Minister, and it's a real pleasure to be in Israel. And as you said, the 25 years have been fantastic. 25 years, and we look forward to 25 more.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now you see the massive security breaches, in particular the Intel factory in Israel itself, overrun with predominantly Russian technicians. Microsoft overrun with predominantly Russian computer coders.
Now, given the history of Israel, and we've shown you 1,000 times over in everything, Intel Corporation, centering it all in, and there's good news about that too, I might add, that they we'll do a separate video where the Department of Defense says, no, we're not going to, they were going to have a little secure enclave and do all this specialist work with Intel, and said, we're not giving you $2.5 billion, your security is not up to scratch. Oh, really? Oh, shot across the bows. Something's going on. It's a long bow. Don't know if I'll get to the end of the road, but there's something very strange happening. So you remember that stuff about the WannaCry virus. Given all you know about Israel and every single thing they're in, you don't think it's possible that they're sabotaging Boeing, just like they sabotaged NASA? I knew a guy called Owen. Owen actually built the Kafir fighter in Israel. He's a Scottish guy. He told me a great story about how they got the blueprints, and they're all in French. And when he went over there, the story was, of course, that Israel had been very cunning to get the blueprints for the fighter out of Dassault Mirage, and the guy's allegedly Jewish, the head of Dassault, I might add. They did this elaborate plan where they put up a front company for the disposing and destruction of sensitive documents, and that's how they claimed they got all the documents in. Well, Owen said that's horseshit. This is actually in that scene. That's a well-known story, and you can find it online. I might slap it up on the screen if I'm in a good mood. Owen said that's crap. Dassault just handed them the freaking blueprint straight off the bat. It was garbage. Anyway, Owen was there, and he had a great time over there and all the rest. And we were going to work. He's an optics specialist as well. He's an amazing guy, does optics. A lot of people retire to Perth. Very interesting people retire in Perth from England, Great Britain. Retired Special Forces, counterterrorism, electrical engineer, all sorts of people. It's beautiful. Perth's a beautiful little place to retire. And so Owen was telling me all these stories. Now, he used to go on the Boeing forum, and he wrote into the Boeing, what are you going to do with this your new fiberglass, your carbon fiber fuselages you're making? They're very lightweight. There's a whole new manufacturing technique because you can't x-ray them like you can metal fatigue, where they x-ray them to find cracks and things. You can't find it, so you get a tiny hairline crack in the carbon fiber. What happens is you get like drops of moisture, just molecules in there. And when you go up high to 30, 40,000 feet, it freezes and expands. You come back down, it freezes and expands, come back, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. And he said, what are you going to do when you get your inevitable destruction? Well, they banned him from the forum. I was there when that actually happened. They know how many people are going to die due to the lifespan of their aircraft. It's built into the costs and built into the manufacturing process. But here's what's interesting. Let's watch this source section. QF72. This is the Qantas flight that was flying over the Northwest Cape. Do you know what the Northwest Cape is? I will show. If you know Western Australia, you will know what this is. There is my beloved Australia. There is Exmouth right there. Can you see? That's Exmouth. That is Northwest Cape. That's where I'm Perth. I was born down here. And that's Perth, the capital city. There I used to live at Geraldton or near Geraldton. My grandfather used to own a cattle station in Manila up near Carnarvon. This is all, there's no one here. We used to just have the most idyllic life as kids flying around in planes and doing all sorts of stuff. This is Exmouth. This was a military base of Americans. It is for submarines, allegedly. And here, if you didn't know, is Naval Communication Station Harold E. Holt. Harold E. Holt, I might add, was an Australian Prime Minister who disappeared while swimming off a beach. Just disappeared off the face of the earth. No one's ever seen him since. This is a Prime Minister. He was a bit of a Gough Whitlam-like socialist lefty, fuck America, fuck the royals, we're going to have an independent Australia, which is pretty funny. But this base, you can't see it, but those towers are over 300 to 400 feet tall, and they're in big squares. I'll show you pics. Now, this is supposedly fires ultra-low frequency radio signals up into the ionosphere, which then bounce down into the ocean, and they tell American nuclear submarines to come to the surface to receive their launch instructions. I'm sure it does do that, but it absolutely does other stuff as well. Like, you'll find way down here in Perth, way down here, that if you go down to Margaret River, you can see the Aurora Australis, which is highly unusual at times, but we know why, because they're firing that thing, Exmouth, Northwest Cape, Harold Holt Base. Naval Communication Station Harold E. Holt, and I believe they called it that as a joke against the Prime Minister. They disappeared when he was swimming. But we've all forgotten about it. Little America and the remote Pilbara, the ruins of a Cold War defense base. It's pretty fascinating. I knew a kid who came down, he was American. I actually beat the crap out of him. He was a bit of a bully. He was about 6 foot tall at 12. He was a big guy, and I managed to pin both his arms down and then beat the living shit. And I remember the principal said, "These are the worst injuries I've ever seen in 30 years of my school teaching career." It was beautiful. One arm was down there, I was on top, I pinned his other arm down, and I just kept battering his. He was just black and blue, but he deserved everything he got. But what was interesting was he told us about that base, like American cars were brought in. It was completely Americanized. It was like an American base, and it was like a little bit of America. It's a very interesting. There are so many American bases and hidden little bases, and you hear stories of cement trucks driving out into the middle of the desert, just 20 or 30 cement trucks, and everyone just goes, where the hell are they going? They've got these 4-lane highways, the road to nowhere, supposedly for nuclear waste dumps. There's stuff, reports of like 3 or 4 satellites moving in formation at high altitude, sonic booms all the time. They are all over the West Australian desert, big time. I used to work in mining exploration. Up here is Northwest Cape, is some of the biggest oil and gas fields in the world. You've never heard of it. They're 10 times bigger. You should speak to oil and gas executives. They tell you just how big it is. And they just, that's how I learned so much from speaking with people. It's just, they're all oil and gas are linked in with Intel, and they'll tell you, it's just a fraud. Oh, we're running out of oil and gas. There's so much oil and gas, it's never running out. It's filled in the magma layers of the earth and it comes to the surface. It's all bullshit. Robert Gold, The Abiotic Origins of Oil. And this place is largely empty. Esperance, there's Israelite Bay, and there's Esperance. It's another interesting place. They named this, that it was built up by the Pentagon. It's farming, but it's not particularly good land, but it was built up by the Pentagon. It's got a big sign. In Esperance, it's filled, it's Masonic heaven. It's just filled. Great white sharks, beautiful beaches. Water's freezing cold, 45 degrees Celsius at summer, and the water's like so freezing cold, and huge great white sharks. And there's a big, that's where all the huge contrails were flying, and the birds died. It's one of the biggest bird die-off in history, happened right there. And you can see signs, there's little airfields and bunkers built all around that place. Oh, Western Australia is a place of intrigue. There's Israelite Bay over there, and this is all out in the desert. I used to work in Kalgoorlie in the mining, gold mining, Leonora and Laverton, Granny Smith mine. They're all underground now. They're all open pits when I started working there. And of course you have up here the Great Sandy Desert up here. Lots of things going on out there. It's filled with every mineral known to man. Now let's ask ourselves, what happened just off the coast, and what Owen told me all about what really happened. I was right there when he was on the phone to the National Transport Safety Board, NTSB, which is like the FAA. They investigate air crash. So let's talk about this Qantas flight again. Basically the story, the aircraft was flying from Singapore to Perth, and it started pitching up and down, and they lost control of the aircraft. And I'll tell you exactly what happened.
It's just after lunch on board Qantas Flight 72 from Singapore to Perth.
Sir, would you like a drink?
Qantas flight attendant Fuzzy Maeva is busy attending to passengers in the cabin.
Orange juice for you, madam?
If I can make your flight a lot easier, I'm your man. And I thought it was going to be another great day.
Up in the cockpit,
how's everything doing? Very good.
Captain Kevin Sullivan has just climbed back into his seat after a rest break, when suddenly the plane's autopilot disconnects.
Autopilot 1 appears to have disconnected.
And then we started getting stall warnings.
Stall.
And then we started getting overspeed warnings.
Stall.
And then it happens.
The plane, it started going down, pitching down, violently down.
Tonight, for the first time...
Just like Boeing. The last one that was off New Zealand. Did someone upset Israel?
The previously untold story of Qantas's worst ever accident.
Bang, my head went through the cabin ceiling.
How a plane went psycho, injuring 100 passengers and crew.
You died 6 or 7 times on the operating table.
I'm lucky to be here alive.
And destroying once happy lives.
It got to the point where I tried to take my own life.
The hero pilot who fought against his own plane to save his passengers and crew.
The automation is there to keep you safe. It was actually trying to kill us.
And how the lessons of Qantas Flight 72 have gone unheeded.
All of us are deeply sorry for the loss of life.
With 2 planes crashing within 6 months of each other, killing all 346 people.
Okay. I'm going to give you some gold here. Some of you have heard this before. It's from an aircraft engineer himself. He was on the phone to his mate. He was a high-level guy who investigated that flight. When it happened and was on the news, I was at Owen's house and he picks up the phone and talks to his mate. And he said, oi, because we'd had a discussion about Exmouth that happened just off the coast, Northwest Cove, where that base is, Harold Holt, which pushes extremely low frequency radiation. It in fact mimics an electromagnetic pulse. Do you know what bit data drop is? When you fire an electromagnetic pulse, or a simulated electromagnetic pulse, which they do from those extremely low frequency radio towers, it causes bit data drop in controller chips. And no one goes, it was bit data drop, wasn't it, from Harold Holt base? And the guy goes, quote, probably, but you're never going to hear us admit to that. That's a quote from one of the head investigators of the NTSB who was investigating that flight. I'm giving you gold, I promise you. I know a lot of interesting people. The other thing to understand is Boeing has all these problems. You notice it's Boeing. Now, of course, you and I have every right to immediately say, well, there's something very wrong with the Boeing management, and there is. What happened with that pitot tube and the override with the 2 planes that went down? It's funny how they went down. It's kind of like Indonesia and Africa, but not Seattle or not London. They went down in poorer areas, and I thought about that. That was a bit of bad luck. I think about the Malaysian airline flights. I think about the Boeing uninterruptible autopilot and the fact that Israel is in everything. I think about the fact that Malaysian Airlines, and I'm gonna tell you something, I don't want to be grandiose. Remember, I had the Israeli ambassador against me. I am the one that started to get this ball rolling on Israel's cyber domination. It was talked about here, they talked about it there, Phil Giraldi talked about it, it was here, but no one was rolling with it. No one was telling the police and counterterrorism about it, telling that the Collins-class submarine was in fact fitted with Israeli-modified weapons and sensor systems. And I'm telling the guys, you do realize that, China's in bed with Israel, our sworn enemy, and they're putting that, and the history of espionage, and they went, that's when they started kissing my ass. And I said, let's get it into a court case. These things are handled quietly. You know the story. So you have the missing Malaysian Airlines. Remember, I was going to Iran because Mark Glenn had met President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, and I got a letter from him, and I asked Mark on the phone when I was doing my hunger strike in jail, would the president accept my political asylum? And it got back, and here is the quote from Iran Press T from President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad himself to me. Your asylum will be welcomed with open arms. Quote, President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. They knew when I got out of jail where I was going. But first I thought I'm going to try for the High Court. Let's wait and see. So I go to Canberra I tell people I'm going to go to the Malaysian consulate and ask them about asylum. The plane goes down. The first plane disappears off the coast. Just disappears out of thin air. I think nothing of it other than, wow, that's a bit of a mystery. And remember, here's something we need to remember. Do you remember when it first went down? I watched a video on YouTube of Rolls-Royce engines, real-time telemetry. Every single Rolls-Royce engine on every single plane has real-time telemetry with its GPS location, and all the engine parameters telemetry is being fired to a satellite and is beamed down to their London headquarters. And they have a huge room with things everywhere where Rolls-Royce monitor every single aircraft engine that's in the air. They know where every single aircraft engine is at all times when it's in the air, and you can't break the signal. And assuming the engine is attached to the plane, they know very well where that first Malaysian aircraft went down. They know exactly where it is. So what games they are playing, I don't know. But that video disappeared. If you can find it, I would be extremely grateful. And it had the big video arrays, and they were all there talking about the real-time telemetry GPS location of every Rolls-Royce engine that is in the air. It's gone. So if you know where to get it, please let me know. Have you been gaslit? So that goes down, I think nothing of it. So I decide to wait 2 weeks. I'm talking days from talking to people about going to the Malaysian consulate when that happened. Days. That didn't happen. And I thought, oh, you know, there's a lot of stuff happening. There's a huge Malaysian population in Perth. Very large Malaysia. It's very close. Perth and Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur are very, very close. Very close. And there's exchanges of students all the time. It's a pretty close relationship because they're in the Commonwealth as well. They're under the Crown corporate, and the politicians fight all the time. But on the level, there's a lot of businesses, a lot. I don't know why, it's just very close. I don't know, just the way it is. But I thought I better wait a couple of weeks because, you know, the plane's gone down. It's a big news item. So I wait a couple of weeks and I go in and they knew who I was. I said to the woman, "Hi, my name's Brendan O'Connell. Would I be able to see I'm sorry to bother you, I know," because it was filled. 2 weeks later, it was still filled. People looking for information about family stuff. And they said, "Come straight in." I went, "Really?" I took me straight into the head of consulate, and he spoke with me, put his phone on the table, so he was recording me. And I said, "Look, do you know what's going on? They're harassing me, they're raiding me all the time, they are driving me insane." He said, "Listen," he said, "just go, fly in, you don't need to apply for asylum, just fly in on a tourist visa and then decide what you want to do." That's almost a quote. And he shook my hand and I said, "Okay, that's enough." So I then decided, you know what, let me go with Louis, and I flew over. Remember, I went to the rallies for Gaza, so I went over and saw Louis in Sydney and I went to Sydney and I met Louis, and Louis said, "Let's go to Canberra and we'll go and see the Iranian embassy." I thought, yeah, good idea. So I just tap into Mark Glenn, I'm going to go to the Iranian embassy. 2 days later, I'm in Sydney getting ready to go with Louis, hiring a car to go to Canberra to go to the Iranian embassy. 2 days later, the freaking Malaysian Airlines is shot down over Ukraine, Russia, Ukraine. Thinking, far out, that's a bit of bad luck. 2 Malaysian aircraft going down. And I'm not being grandiose. I freaking know what that was. I go in, I see the Iranians. The Iranians said, "Look, just head on over. It's not a problem." Okay. So I still wanted to see about the High Court. They knocked me back. The police just kept harassing me, and I thought, okay. They put me under gag orders, and I thought I'm still going to fight. Then I thought, you know what, I've had enough. I'm going to take off for Malaysia and then go to Iran. And that's the story. And we've had Boeing crash after crash after crash. Remember, cyber is the real domain of power.
And cyber is a real domain of power. And cyber is a real domain of power.
Do you remember the incident in Sydney where Israel is bragging, "Oh, don't thank us, Australia. Don't thank us for," they were putting a bomb on your plane in a meat grinder or some sort of meat grinder. Some Ethiopians or something were putting, or Yemen or whatever, were putting a meat grinder with explosives on the planes. "Don't thank us, Australia. You need us. See how we saved your ass from that plane blowing up in the air," which of course was an Israeli operation because Australia was slapping them back in the face. If you know my case, if you think I'm being so far-fetched, it was the biggest secret of all, and it was in plain sight. And no one was pushing it. Just like we see no one pushing in Boeing, Seattle, Microsoft, Seattle, and the Intel Corporation. No one is pushing it politically. Well, there are now. And if you don't think they'll blow up the fucking poles down there, take out the cell towers, then I've got news for you, considering what's happened the last 15 freaking years in my life. Don't ask me why people didn't pick up the $1,000 bill and run with it. I did. No one else would. Don't know why. That's part of God's plan. Something's going on at Boeing, not just their incompetence. They are in there and they are being sabotaged. They are bringing down aircraft, in my opinion. And that last one that was on its way to Santiago from New Zealand, now they're saying, oh, an airline hostess might have bumped a button on the back of the seat that moved the chair forward, and that took the autopilot off and it went up and down. Really? You sure it wasn't a bit of bit data drop by some little electromagnetic weapon? I don't know, in a satellite. You know, many of those satellites are Israeli. Ask Iran Press TV. Are you sure it's not the Boeing uninterruptible autopilot versions of it, whether it's Airbus or Boeing? You're sure? And is it, let me guess, it's Israeli? Is it a backdoor chip, an industrial controller chip within the control systems of these aircraft? Is this just another part of leverage, whether it's an Epstein sex ring, blackmailing and bribing? Whether it's the cyber backdooring of the United States? There's no Russian hackers or Chinese hackers. They wouldn't dare attack the United States. They exist, but they're using it as an excuse. The NSA is removing the hardware and software from all these key critical components of US critical infrastructure. That's what's going on. And the fight is on. And they know damn well this is why Bibi can do whatever he likes in Gaza, kill as many as he likes in Gaza. That's part of the deal. Because the coffin masturbating Yale skull and bones wasps out of the United States are so fucking corrupt. Bibi's got leverage, but Bibi's been told, you come here, you do the business, you kill the Arabs, you cleanse the Gaza Strip, you cleanse the West Bank, and that's it. You leave. You get Netanyahu and associates, and now we see the building of a pier. This may well be the beginning of the occupation of occupied Palestine by US military forces. It may well be. And we are seeing the end of the multipolar world order coming into true unipolar US elite domination, and I don't know if that's good or bad. It's going to be up to individual Americans to make sure your own government does its job. We hope to embarrass all these talking online heads who are doing nothing. They won't support, they won't talk about them. They're sure as shit not going to talk about it especially as I'm associated. And you will see how controlled, corrupt, and pathetic these groups are. You will see how bad it is. We need to start thinking outside the box. I can't believe that Boeing would have killed that whistleblower. It just looks so bad. But somebody else might have. You remember Kay Griggs?
NATO intelligence, wet operations guys, psychological operations guys.
Okay, now when you refer to wet operations, WET, does that stand for something?
Yes, it means murder, assassinations groups. NATO has a group of assassins and psychological operations specialists who work in combined operations to destroy targets. Some of the people who are affiliated with the SEALs I shouldn't say that. I'm not going to say it, but
well, it wouldn't be hard for a SEAL to come from underwater and tip the boat over and make sure the man's dead, that sort of thing.
The Israelis train with the SEALs. They do a lot of wet ops, murders, over here.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave it there. This is not exactly the video I wanted to do, but I just wanted to get the ball rolling. We're going to talk again very, very, very soon. Remember, nothing is what it seems. Nothing. Believe half of what you see and none of what you hear. We live in interesting times. In November, Pluto goes into Aquarius full on. It's going to be a full on time. It's going to be very interesting. We're all still going to be alive. Let's get political. They are sabotaging American military and general industrial might. I believe they're being sabotaged. Doesn't mean that the Boeing executives are not freaking... Are they plans? Because they seem determined to destroy the company. They appear absolutely determined. There's something wrong. Airbus goes from strength to strength and is, was looking really bad for a while, but they appear to have picked up, looking okay. You need to start asking why they keep going on and on about China. It's like a man wants to keep control of his family. His wife wants to leave him. So he has to tell her it's very dangerous out there. People are going to come, I'm going to kill you. It's dangerous for the kids. Don't leave me. And then the wife looks out and all the neighbors are nasty and they've got weapons. They're shooting at the house. Then the wife goes out and sees the husband selling a gun to the next door neighbor. And she says, what are you doing selling the neighbor the guns? You said the neighbor's trying to destroy us and take over our business, but you'll get, oh, no, I wasn't selling them weapons. We're not going into another Cold War 2.0 scenario to stimulate economies and keep local populations down. We have to talk about that as well. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk again.
The people that do the jobs out there right now that you know nothing about, biomedical, biophysics, electrical engineers who log into databases to work with you inside your blood and tissue. And I'm sitting over here stuck in the middle of the old way of 1995. I was born in 1979, graduated high school in 1997. All people did is lie about what they did when they went to work, and they hurt people real bad and get away with it by not talking about it for what it is. So I had no idea in 2019, well, along with everyone else, when, oh, there's a virus, but I'm like, what? Hang on. And then as it kept going and I kept paying attention, it just got worse and worse. I'm like, wait a minute, I know what this is. Why? Because unlike everybody else out there who are afraid of a terahertz bullet, they're afraid of these signals because they will kill you. And that's why they've all had their mouths paid shut. These signals and these systems work, or Boeing and Raytheon and electronic warfare would not exist so quietly for information surveillance and reconnaissance. If our surveillance doesn't work, we get our ass kicked. It's working great, isn't it? The TechMetric PDF is the one that I made so that people would know what they were looking at technically. I am a former network engineer on the back end of Northcom. I worked a job by myself as a 19-year-old young lady at Charter Communications, which is currently Spectrum. It's known as an internet service provider. So I wrote the Synergy TechMetric PDF by copying and pasting a series of technical documents that all have to do with routing data through human bodies. So I'm going to take you through the first 4 pages. Artificial Intelligence Symposium notes for decisions that have already been made with your DNA, tethered to ground with something called Project Maven. Sure, you have no fucking idea what that even is, and yet it's tethered to your DNA. If this is about your health, whatever I'm about to say, you should know about it. And if you don't, you've got to ask yourself, why is it you've never heard of this? Why is it that you never knew any of these systems existed? There is a reason. Somebody is keeping you stupid. It's information surveillance and reconnaissance. We would not have physical security if everybody knew how it worked. So the job has been to keep people stupid as long as possible. And they're doing great. So page 1. I started with the recommendations on the effects of the coronavirus worldwide through misusing of wireless sensor networks. I went to the recommendations on page 1 of our TechMetric PDF because I wanted you to know what they told their people to do based on their scientific acumen, regimen, and what they're watching. In order to verify that excerpt 414 here is accurate, you're going to want to go to the Department of Defense, HDIAC on the YouTube, and watch their Casualty Care nanotechnology. They're going to talk about the exact same thing, and they're going to tell you exactly what all these professors and people said here in the abstract. When you hit the biosensors too much, too often, the body can't electrically keep up. Then we go into the tensor sequences, in case you don't know what those are. And now back to where I started a moment ago with bioelectromagnetic algorithms. Yeah, so we have a bunch of young people who play video games lifelong. And then they go play video games with big toys. And the little controllers that you see here, these are real products. Then bioelectromagnetic algorithms, as you can see right here in this document, supervised machine learning algorithms for bioelectromagnetics, prediction models, and feature selection. Now, I'm going to stop there for a minute because now I'm going to draw your attention to the DigiID. It's been here in cybersecurity since 2009. They lied to you and they went to work. So when we talk about feature IDs over here in bioelectromagnetic algorithms, we're talking about your DigiID. Geomancer hunts you down. Here's my AI symposium notes about the databases that they sold to people. Go read the transcript with Secretary of Defense Mark Esper, General Raymond from the Space Force, and the people from the Department of Defense there on the stage explaining the same thing right to your face. There's a transcript available before you even mentally go there. Go find the transcript. Verify I told exactly the truth. Then come back and consider that what I'm telling you now is exactly the truth. This is my handwritten little sign based on Amazing Polly's description of Red Rwanda, which I already mathematically understood. And then I flipped it to where Celeste Salon with Synthetic Biology mentioned Geomancer and Spellcaster. I said spells are your logical features inside of Geomancer. So I go get my little video game controller to log into your body electrically with no knowledge of yours whatsoever. And I'm writing papers on it for a while now. About what? Feature selection techniques using data from weak radio frequency radiation effect on human and animal cells. Feature selection techniques using data, using data, using data, using data, using data, using data. From where? From where? Your feature values are such as age, weight, eye color. Holy shit. On and on we go. Yeah, where'd you get that from? The Wireless Body Area Network. We watch you 24/7 and we watch every single thing you see here in the machine learning.
So I have been having trouble getting my head around what data is being extracted without my consent. I don't need a collar, okay, but I'm collared and I am tethered to the cloud, and these people have been using me like a lab rat. Okay, they're doing this to all TIs, and it is being done to you, just not like they're doing to me yet. This is a medical system, it is a punishment system, and it is a communication system. Understand, you don't need a wearable. They're doing all of this stuff right now.
We tracked Luna with a smart collar. We collected her behavior data 24/7. But how does it work? Activity data from the Catlog is collected by motion sensors and sent to Catlog Home. Catlog Home connects to a wireless network and sends the data to the cloud. The Catlog app shows your cat's behavior data in real time. Let's see what Luna has been up to. It tracked her meals, drinking, exercise, sleeping, grooming, walking, running, and chilling. It even shows an energy score, and the app sends alerts if anything unusual is detected. We had fun exploring Luna's world. Curious about your kitty's health and daily activities? Tap the link in our bio.
and machine writing for the human body part known as the biofield. And everybody went to work. This is from 1995. In 2014, your Federal Communications Commission made it absolutely wonderful, lovely, and fast for everyone to log in and out of your body for all these different signals. 2014. Meanwhile, bioelectromagnetic algorithms reporting all those feature selection techniques and measuring it too. Next page. And here's all the different math we're using to do it. Just getting started, but I didn't want to leave you there. Here's your meta-heuristic algorithms, your Monte Carlo, your Markov chain following the nano through your body mathematically. Oh, and then we know exactly mathematically how you're altering the bloodstream with viscosity and velocity. These are jobs. It's their job to handle your house box. This image is from 2009. It is military. It is legal. It's inside the Pfizer lawfare. Because this is a system of human husbandry, running computer game theory through human bodies for your health. It's for your health. I'm not kidding. But interestingly enough, even though it claims it's all for your health, right? It's all for your health, yeah? Those are the first 4 pages of the Synergy Tech Metric PDF. Have fun with the rest. Even though they claim it's for your health, what they originally said in the Artificial Intelligence Symposium goes as follows. We want the role of the Jake at the DoD to be making artificial intelligence real. Everyone can and should implement AI in everything they do. We have customers across the Department of Defense, and we are done with AI governance and AI ethics. We are now AI pioneers, and we're going to be AI practitioners. Go read the transcript. AI practitioners. They're done with governance and ethics back in September of 2020. You didn't even know you had a wireless body area network since 1995 or biosensors since 2005. And what else didn't you know? If you've never been to my channel before, I'll bet you didn't know this one either. Did you know that we have lethal autonomous weapons systems already deployed with Skyborg, not Skynet? Yeah? No? Did you know that human and computers already interact? Oh, that's emergent technology. This here's my college textbook of insanity. There's 2 of them. And on page 1, we need to be worried about the trust of lethal autonomous weapons systems. And then I have to sit here and read this page, page 6, over and over again, because normal people and military people, they had a real hard time with this, and so did I. I'm like, so you mean to tell me since 2012 you've been autonomous with your brain-computer interface? Yeah. Then I had to go back and research all of that with command and control and show people that too. And I did. And here's your Skyborg. We have the Golden Horde in here too. And we've got your Sea Hunters with the Navy. It's all in here. Wow. Yeah, references in a college textbook. Kind of fucking helpful. So then I had to draw it up bigger and louder because people couldn't read that. So let me read it to you in a way that hopefully you can read along with me and understand. Ready? Here we go. Just as military personnel will have to develop and maintain trust in lethal autonomous weapons, trust will also have to be established. I crossed out the word developed because you are expected to trust immediately that your autonomous AI system is smarter than you, better than you, and it knows how to do it better than you. You want to tell me the cybersecurity, please, on a drone and a Stryker unit from 2022 with the digital ID in play, or an ad hoc network that is necessary for a plasma fence. Those are not currently in my long form, but they're in the DARPA R&D statement from 2023. Your geofence, how about that? For those of you that know what that is. Okay, yeah, I thought so. Your wireless body area network is incorporated in the network routing as a node on the network of the simulated world simulation. That's what y'all used to call it. It's called the Global Information Grid in Pentagon directives. Those I do go over on the channel. Here's your Stryker with your drone. Now, again, this is the same Lethal Autonomous Weapons Department of Defense Directive 3000.09 with cybersecurity with software-defined networking. You're not telling anybody shit. And then you lied to them and you said, oh no, emergency alert system. Yeah, you're free, peer-to-peer. And I'm like, I used to work at the fucking cable company. You guys have remote physical layer on the body moving around. Your consensus layer with the blockchain, which is also used for medical records. Yeah, everybody watching your medical records is a matter of fucking law with HIPAA. But you told all the blockchain people that their currency was Napster. Oh yeah, nobody's watching. It's all peer-to-peer. You're just floating out there. And I'm like, you made the physical layer of computer networking remotely available with network function virtualization, software-defined networking, and now Cisco converged interconnected networks with distributed access architecture. So then I had to go to the ass end of the fucking emergency alert system box, because I know what it is and I know how it works, because I used to have to look at it every day when I went into work. And I had to draw out of the box the actual, on the ass end of it, the back that shows exactly how it connects to every single fucking device, including your Cisco comm controller, to prove to everybody who knows the equipment, you're lying. Well, I put my phone in a Faraday cage. That doesn't mean shit. We're watching your body. Or Amazing Polly's Rwanda and everything you did there in 1994 with get on your knees and surrender wouldn't have fucking worked. Yeah, and that's something. So all this time you've been lying about using the human body for translating data. That's what you've been doing. That didn't change. You installed RFIDs in people way the fuck back in the 60s using the medical implant communication system on the narrow radio frequency bands of medical, industrial, and scientific. You're still telling people you have no fucking idea what you're doing, by the way. So while you're busy telling them they're stupid, you have no idea. Google said no to Project Maven. The DoD said yes. Electronic integrated disease surveillance system watching your wireless body area network and everything inside of you since 2007. How are they doing it? You're definitely going to like this because I'm going to use a picture. I'm really to my limit with you fucking lying people that will not admit what you get paid to do. So how are they doing it? How are they doing it? How are they looking through your veins and arteries like that and just kind of, doing work to make sure that your body is where they want it to be? They wear a headset like this with cognitive warfare threat technology. Their little headset, just like back in the day in Vietnam, looking interdimensionally. This one looks through your veins and arteries. And they got ultrasonic too. Now, we didn't tell anybody when the telephone was created, except the IEEE history of the wireless page, that we were listening to your muscles' electrical acuity. It's called galvanic energy internally, for example. And we can do laparoscopic surgery with a drone over your home using the same muscle electricity. Everybody else calling it sci-fi. Nope. You lied to people and went to work. That's what the graphene is for. Your new healthcare. Your new wireless healthcare. So we got graphene-based sensors. They were being worked on in 2011 and forward, and then boom, they're here and deployed. Boy, that sounds like the stealth bomber. Thanks, DARPA, Brain Initiative. Then, in the computer networking side, we have short range, long range, medium range, and they need the metamaterials to get in the skin deeper. And then we developed the security, 3 layers. Tier 1, intra-band, Tier 2, inter-band, and Tier 3, extra-band. This is called work. Here's the protocols for the wireless body area network, and you will notice that postural, whether you're sitting, standing, or whatever, is in there, along with who you're clustered near, and temperature, swelling you and deswelling you to elicit a physical change. The metaheuristic algorithms, or however they are doled out algorithms, those are down here, complementary to the wireless body area network, fully developed computer networking protocols. Then there's your Bluetooth, the 802.15.5. They got their own protocols and metaheuristic complementary algorithms too. For what? Bioelectromagnetic algorithms fucking around inside of you, your blood and tissue. Here's an example of the biosensors. They've been upgraded with carbon nanotubes and all sorts of stuff. I'll be back with that. And then we have our more circle math, more down here, more amazing poly, the blimps that you all pretend you don't know what they're there for, and your space fence, which is a series of satellites that are nanosatellite, CubeSat, looking through your body all the fucking time. For what? Well, it could be for energy harvesting. The new Soylent Green power that they're all screaming of is you in your 15-minute city. We pull the energy electrically out of you, and you power your coffee pot. So what are they doing when they go to work? They're sitting with their headset and their Xbox controller, their Morse code unit, and all 5 branches and everything we got. Sensors Open Systems Architecture with that SWS. Simulated world simulation thing? Yeah, sensors everywhere of all kinds. Reporting on humans. In vivo, in situ, in real time. That is what your cognitive threat warfare technology system fucking does. That is what it has been doing this entire time. These are the metrics for the challenges of the wireless sensor network versus the wireless body area network and routing, application, data rate, bandwidth, and accuracy through the body. Then you turn the page to finish reading all that bioelectromagnetic algorithms, technometrics. These are Google Scholar references from 1974 and 2003. Here's the World Health Organization, and there's your biosensors. Mandated by the FCC when? 2005. Now this is on an app on somebody's phone that the police can point at you and issue a heart attack, a stroke, make you pee yourself, whatever they want. Did you tell anybody the truth about what we're doing with human bodies, with computer networking, misusing the sensor networks? Nope. Did you tell them we've got an MQ-9 Reaper with Project Maven tethered to ground on their DNA from the side of their house, whether by smart grid or the cable company? Nope. Did you tell them about the pod conduit system with Microsoft OpenAI containers and Kubernetes for their neurons? No, I did. And we got a long way to go. So if you're here on the channel and you didn't know what it's all about, now you fucking do. It ain't a graphene if it needs vaccine. You're a Vril maiden. They wrote a book, a sci-fi book, about the Vril and inner Earth to hide what they were doing in Germany, testing out radio frequency through the human body. Oh, I'm communing with the fucking wireless. Don't we all day long? Hang on, let me grab my phone. I'm gonna go commune with the wireless right now and check my email. When you do something to someone else and you do not tell them, and it's their body, it doesn't take much. This is super simple. Everybody has a biofield. That's the aura. What the fuck are you doing in my body? I don't want biosensors in me. Pentagon Directive 3000.09. Remember where I broke off with that a moment ago? And I said, you're going to be maintaining trust in your lethal autonomous weapon system because trust is established, not developed. And maintained throughout the lethal autonomous weapon system lifecycle, that is, the design, development, deployment, maintenance, and upgrades. Interestingly, the Department of Defense 3009 does not refer to positive outcomes as a design criterion. It literally says this, word for word. Why are there no positive outcomes in the design of directive of Department of Defense? Directive of the Department of Defense. No positive outcomes. Why? Well, DoD 3009 defines the goal of autonomous systems as to avoid negative outcomes, unintended engagement, or experience a loss of control. Autonomy in Weapons Systems, DoD Directive 3009, 21st of November 2012, incorporating change on the 8th of May 2017. We are using AI since 2012 in our skies.
John Kerry. Now, John Kerry had that emergency where he had to run down to Antarctica while we were all up here voting in the 2016 election. There's something weird going on in Antarctica. And this is his speech from Antarctica.
Dr. Stephen Greer introduced Antarctica whistleblower Eric Hecker.
In 2010, I was selected to go down to the South Pole Station in Antarctica for an entire year by Raytheon Polar Services as an employee of a third-party contractor for the National Science Foundation. The technology at the South Pole Station certainly can do what it is presented as its primary purposes, and unfortunately, much more. The Ice Cube neutrino detector is presented as a passive listening device for the purposes of the science as presented. But I'm going to skip right through the chase, folks. I have provided documentation that proves that the 5,160, what they call DOMs, that are embedded in the ice can actually transmit at 2,047 volts each. That gives us a long list of things to consider. It is effectively a multifaceted directed energy weapons platform.
Where he talks about this weaponized grid. He translated something into the weaponized grid, and he says, whistling yet, our grid will smash you. Well, that's a whistleblower network that their grid will smash.
We translated that day into action.
Okay, so that's the weaponized grid smashing whistleblowers. My dad was murdered in the TI program, and so was my first husband. So this is all connected in that direction. The global information grid, it's a giant internet all the way down to the nanoscale, enslaving humanity. It's like a giant wireless collar on you.
Yes.
That they can jerk at any time, right?
Yes.
So, and it's going to be connected to that thing that Eric Hecker's talking about. Carries trafficking reverse speech. Trafficking reverse speech. It's a trafficking cult. They're trying to enslave the whole planet. So let's take a look at this. He's talking about selling little girls.
Oh, my God.
Efforts to try to undo some of what President Obama has done in order to put in place the climate
All right, here it goes. China not wanting to sell little girl, let us sell them.
Oh, boy.
Okay, the next one is going to be, who knew that boy? They're going to sue you. So see, it looks like the trafficking ring is going to be more and more coming to the public's eye.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, I'm one of them that's really, I'm trying to get this into people's consciousness. They are trafficking civilians all over the globe and trying to enslave everybody onto this internet. So that's really important for people to understand.
Yes.
Warming above 2 degrees centigrade. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm not predicting anything.
Here it is.
They're going to sue me.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so that, remember what reverse speech? It said, wake people up.
Mm-hmm.
Please share this. Please share it. Okay, we got to get this shut down worldwide.
Yes.
All right, and the last one, he says, yeah, law could look at me. He got hurt. Now, what I'm finding is that law also can stand for lethal autonomous weapons. Those are the ones hitting me. It's the drone program.
Yes.
Lethal autonomous weapons. And the scary thing about that is when I was on Twitter, I talked about this on your last show, and I said, who's hitting me with that drone that's right up above my head? It said the AI sent it, connected to the same ilk youth network. So, and like I said, Masons have been coming up, Masonic network, military, youth of the same ilk that are trying to flip. Remember Elon Musk's girlfriend Grimes?
Yes.
She talked about the mission. Well, that's their mission. They're literally, these people are just.
Oh, yeah.
They want to flip the whole system to a transhuman enslavement system. They're absolutely insane, in my opinion. Yeah. And when I did Bill Gates' reverse speech way back in 2020, I told them that you'll have to go listen to that one at some point. It was all right there. Okay, so yeah, law could look at me. He got hurt.
I'm not getting into any political fight.
So this reversal is now miss us, grow sheaf of night. Data aggregate the cull, war you. Mm-hmm. So we are in a cull. AI is aggregating the data for the cull in a war against us. This is a war against humanity. So what? And she's missing all this information. So she's like, well, we were walking the other day. I'm pretty sure it's that same one. It was like, yeah, but what you're missing is there's growing evil, and there is data being aggregated in a cull on people who have declared war on you, which is this syndicate.
We were walking the other day, and I'm pretty sure it's that same one. Now, Miss Esther, she was not at everything to call me. Now, Miss Esther, she was not at everything to call me. Now, Miss Esther, she was not at everything to call me.
Here's one that indicates. I was so mad one night. I kept tweeting at General Nakasone because he's over. He's director of NSA, and when I did reverse speech, I'm like, where is it that I can help our military to get this solved? Where's the lack? And it pointed straight to cyber issues, cyber networks, and all of that kind of stuff, computer stuff, networks. And so I started tagging him and everything every time, and DOD. And I'm like, I'm just in an attempt to document all of this stuff. So then I got so mad one time because there was a drone and it was like right above me, right there, hitting me. So I did some reverse speech, and then I tweeted the resulting RS back to them. And it said, the AI sent it, connected to the same type of ilk, connected to youth. Who exactly is it that is flying that drone that I'm hearing outside hovering above this house? And y'all said it has good. And y'all said it has good. And y'all said it has good. It tells humans what to do and they do it. You know, and I'm like, that is ridiculous. You know, good humans are supposed to be in charge down here. Then this right here, this reversal, the same thing. It said after the ALF sent it, connected to it like a youth network of the same ilk, which may be Masonic. This said Slice send the Minerva. So, and that the Minerva Research Initiative is a massive social engineering initiative. And so, and run by our Department of Defense. So it's likely that this Minerva is connected to that drone hitting me. Okay, so I'm going to play that one. It says Slice in the Minerva. So that would be people, those with a deceitful nature sent Minerva connected to what sounded like a hovering drone over our house. Who exactly is it that is flying that drone that I'm hearing outside hovering above this house? Slice it the Minerva. Slice it the Minerva. Slice it the Minerva. See, these guys, these are PSYOP, like they learn how to PSYOP in the military, and then they become like defense contractors and make money off of killing people, and they PSYOP you at the same time. So they will tell people they're ETs. That's what they did in my case. And you can hear them because these weapons, it's microwave hearing. They're hitting you with radiation. They're talking through it. There's silent sounds, but there's like over 30 patents for silent subliminal, and that's a lot of what I get. And then there's V2K, which is loud, and they scream abusive stuff 24/7 at people. It's very bad. So they were like, you know, I was trying to find out who these people are. So I was just asking questions and listening, but they were telling me they were ETs. They were not ETs. So I said, is there a benevolent Kyla? And there are a lot of people that just love ETs. They want ETs to be real, but those are actually what reverse speech describes as aliens. So, and an alien is a body that is interfaced with AI. And so aliens are bodies, and they are, so they're biomass with nanoparticles and with cyborg stuff, and they're wirelessly hooked to the internet, so they're telepathic too. It's fake telepathy. Is there a benevolent Kyla?
Plain as day.
So
I hear it perfectly.
That indicates the torture.
And so we're not using GPS anymore. We're using PNT, position, navigation, and timing on something called NTS-3 and the ultra wideband. Now we've got your body area network, 802.15.6. Your biosensors themselves are 802.15.4. And the BLE, the Bluetooth on the outside of you doing what it does, because it pops up a network and pulls it down and makes changes and goes all around, that's 802.15.5. All this stuff is swimming around and through you. You're still sitting there pretending, no, they didn't do it. Yes, they did. Back in 2012 and deployed with a new cyber-physical backbone from the IEEE, which is the International Standards for Electrical and Electronics Engineers, 2017 and 2019, your choice got taken away. You're going to take that fucking graphene shot, and we're just going to walk forward. We've got life extension, regenerative medicine, courtesy of Tufts University. We have Dr. Malone and his endless circus relaying with mRNA. We have 7, 8, 9, 10G deployed, but nobody will talk about it. We have the Internet of Things everywhere. We have neuron, neuron, and we have brain, many brain on Elsevier neurojournals. We don't talk about that either. Well, we do here on the channel. And the G is your generation of wireless. So if you've had synthetic biology since 2008, the Wireless Body Area Network commercially available to companies since 1995, and biosensors commercially available to companies since 2005. We have moved from the other communication layers to human body communication. That's a real thing on the radio frequency bands. Where the hell are you? Still pretending you can grow your food and stay in your house, right? Okay. Multi-domain sensing system with high accuracy detection exploitation system on command and control. It's going to be globally developed, deployable with deep sensing and longer range. And the goal is the target of patterns of life for target development. If it's a target, why don't we want to jam it, slam it, kill it, and quit it? Because we're doing things to people through their fucking body parts, and we're turning them into things against their will, called soft robotics. That's a biosensor. Your red blood cells are no longer able to gestate and take care of your own lunch or your immune system. They have to handle data. You didn't say anything. You fucking lied to everybody and kept going to work because this is so difficult for humans to comprehend. No, it's not. Just go get a TikToker. They'll fucking explain it to you. Everybody got a biofield. Everybody has a body part. So why aren't humans allowed to use theirs? Because some asshole in the military needs to get faster Amazon shipping services, or they've got to hit their target, or they have to get rid of you, or someone paid to electronically torture you. These systems are all built off of something called net-centric warfare, which means that you can't just unplug them, and people can't be removed from the databases individually. This is electronic warfare. They have dominated the electromagnetic spectrum, and they've lied to people into their coffins. They're still doing it. And those of you that have this happy-dappy good feeling about it, I have a question for you. I have your DNA on my cell phone. You don't know me. You have no way to get a hold of me. And if you go tell a police officer or a physician right now that I'm hitting a button on my cell phone to cause a change in your body, you will be laughed at and told to take pills and you're crazy and shut up. Do you find that to be a problem given everything I just showed you? Targeted individuals and people like myself who survived DARPA's non-invasive N2 testing, and now we're on to N3, non-invasive N3 with DARPA's Brain Initiative, which you can go watch on the History Channel. And you're still sitting there doing absolutely nothing while they're walking forward, the CDC, and you think that you're going to get out of it. It'll either be on an API or something else because they're going to tap your biosensors. And that's what I have to come back today and show people really in depth with the new college textbook, because they're still spinning their wheels, unable to understand how I change electrical signals in them willy-nilly on a button press, playing humans like the fucking video game The Sims. And whatever you do, don't get mad. Pretend it's for your benefit. They know and you don't, because they don't know better than me. And anybody who buys into that, there's something fucking wrong with you. You shouldn't have anybody's central nervous system on your fucking cell phone, unbeknownst to them. It's wrong. No matter what way you look at it, there is no excuse for having done this to humans. None. That's why the system cannot be fixed by a fucking lawsuit, because it doesn't work that way. The system is fully built for the most evil, nefarious human husbandry, tissue, exploitation purposes. Thus, high accuracy detection exploitation system. So either get educated or move on. And thank you for your time today, and may you be blessed. And the next time someone asks you about our channel, like, oh, that's a disabled lady who survived the DARPA testing, she's rather pissed off because they won't admit to people they got jobs. And given that we pay their paychecks and we paid for all this equipment, she just finds it really gross that no one will talk about what they actually do when they go to work, remoting other humans like Sims. And with all the different damage that's been done with the Internet of Behaviors as of January 1st of this year, and the update to Pentagon Directive 3000.09 showing on proper congressional documentation that this Pentagon Directive 3009 for lethal autonomous, you will trust us. This was tested in realistic conditions. So much so it's all done as of January 1st, or January 25th rather, of 2023. Wow. So our military is fully autonomous already, and nobody knows.
Hard to see the light when everything is right and waiting for it to clear. Think while I'm alive, get terrified to die, but hey, I'm still here. In the bed, sometimes I like it when I lose control. There's nothing in it that's so blue.